The etiology is the Chinese way that you can take any Western illness like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, MTHFR, cancer, alpha-gal. As long as you know your Chinese etiology, it's all the same.
I'm Michael Max, and this is Qiological, the podcast that curates East Asian medicine and methods through the power of conversation. A patient was discussing her perimenopausal symptoms with me, gave me the rundown on what she's taking, how she's thinking about how her life is shifting, because for sure it is, and the advice that she's been following from her TikTok OBGYN. In the past few months, I've had a number of patients who come in with the same short list of mental health diagnoses. These are complex diagnoses with strings of letters that I have to go look up because I'm not familiar with how the labels have changed in the recent years. I remember during COVID how I noticed that young people were wearing mental health diagnoses as a kind of badge of honor. It was a tribe to belong to, so it seemed. I'm wondering if the TikTok therapists are a go-to for these folks in seeing who they are in their 30s. That social media and their pantheon of influencers is what Dr. Google used to be. And if at the end of the day, it's all kind of a digital water cooler where people go to discuss their troubles and maybe get a bit of advice that could be helpful. I find it interesting that medical advice is increasingly out of the hands of degreed experts and more in the scrolling feeds of either marketers with something to sell or perhaps in the reels and videos of people who have indeed found something in their study and experience that the world of conventional medicine casts a blind eye to. I know that blind eye is in no small way something that has powered my acupuncture practice for north of 25 years now. I'm not a psychotherapist, and I'm not looking to practice as one. Even as people share all kinds of emotional experience and the mental constructs that give a foundation to their worldview, I don't have the training to engage that as a mental health professional would. That said, the body and mind are entangled in such a way that we can't avoid how all of that plays out in clinic. I'm not trying to change a patient's emotional landscape, but I've noticed that when I stick to my basic Chinese medicine parameters, not decide to focus on spirit, but instead attend to the whole of who they are and root my treatments in attending to their physicality, oddly, or maybe not, they have significant shifts in anxiety, compulsion, or mood. Just like there is that phrase, I think it's from the Neijing, the one about if the blood is deficient, then the Shen has no home, and so it wanders. I'm finding all too often people are detached from their physicality. And so working on that, like nourishing the blood or setting straight the digestion, it strengthens the body so it can better house the spirit. Especially as people are living more in the world of mentality and emotional reaction, bringing it back to the body, strengthening and enlivening the physicality, so it's a friendly and trustworthy vessel for the spirit to inhabit, that seems to be a direction that I think is helpful. Especially for those patients who come in with strange new strings of letters that basically spell out, I'm emotionally struggling. It helps to cultivate the earthly container and get friendly with the body. It might be the most direct way to reconnect them to their true nature. Regardless of how you feel about social media, whether it's an annoyance that you put up with, a source for breaking news, or a platform for your business, for sure, it is a virtual space for the exchange of, well, sometimes information, other times marketing and propaganda. For sure, it's a go-to space for people who are trying to get help with an illness and for practitioners, providers, and salespeople to show up and hawk their wares. One of the newer illnesses you'll see on the social webs is a thing called alpha-gal, It's a tick-borne illness that makes people allergic to animal protein. Not surprisingly, the internet offers all kinds of cures with ear acupuncture, but as with most things, it's not that simple. In this conversation, I visit with Rebecca Chrestman, a fellow Missourian who's been working with patients with alpha-gal for a while now. She's reluctant to say that there's a cure, but for sure, there are ways acupuncture and Chinese medicine can be helpful. And it's worth knowing about because with climate change, the habitat of the Lone Star tick, it's moving north. We'll find out about all of it right after this. Qiological Conversations come to you through the generous support of our sponsors and members. You have clinic challenges? Our sponsors have solutions. This month, Mayway Herbs focuses on formulas and resources for women's health. Have you ever wondered about the fast and AccuFast? Listen in and find out. And later in the show, Jane helps you to organize the modern acupuncture practice, and Blue Poppy reminds us that there's no such thing as a small detail. Do be sure to visit the sponsors page on the Qiological website to take advantage of all the special offers our terrific sponsors have for listeners of the podcast.
Hi folks, I'm Yvonne Lau, president of Mayway Herbs. During the lovely month of May, we're happily focusing on women's health. You can enjoy new articles and our Chinese Medicine Matters podcast on topics including menopause and perimenopause, optimizing fertility, and how to differentiate between formulas that tonify blood and warm the uterus. We'll also explore more complex presentations, like hyperemesis, with practical, pattern-based insights to support your clinical decision-making. And check out our helpful comparison charts and discussions on Mayway.com to aid in optimal formula selection. This month, clinicians can enjoy special savings on formulas that support blood, fertility, and menstrual health. Since 1969, Mayway Herbs has supported practitioners and their patients with high-quality herbal products and trusted educational resources. So visit Mayway.com to learn more. Have a wonderful spring season, and thanks for supporting real Chinese medicine.
A busy acupuncturist knows that saving time is a big win. Have you heard about AccuFast earth-friendly needles? The fast in AccuFast isn't just marketing, it's what happens once you learn the system. And that takes about 30 minutes to retrain your muscle memory and reorganize your workspace. But after that, you start saving time every single day. This is John Stan, inventor of the AccuFast needling system. At a recent conference, a practitioner told me he used to spend about 6 minutes per patient opening needle packs and inserting needles. With AccuFast, he said, that dropped to 3 minutes. Yep, he was that kind of busy. In his clinic, that added up to an extra hour every day. Just think about that. Enough time to treat another patient, catch up on charting, or simply finish earlier. That's why it's called AccuFast. It's just faster. And with earth-friendly packaging, you're reducing waste at the same time. Less waste, more time. AccuFast, faster for you and lighter on the planet. Visit AccuFastNeedles.com to learn more.
Rebecca Chrestman, welcome
Hi there.
to Qiological.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm delighted. Hey, you are a fellow Missourian.
Yes. Southern Missouri.
Southern Missouri. You're down in the Ozarks, aren't you?
Yes, down in the holler.
Are you from the holler? Are you from that
No.
part of the world?
No, I'm from New Mexico.
You're from New Mexico. What are you doing down in the holler then?
Well, I grew up in New Mexico, but when I went to raise my kids, I grew up in Albuquerque, which is a pretty big city. And when my kids got to school age, I just wanted them to be in a smaller town with grass and trees and rivers and lakes. And so we did a search and we were brought to Springfield, the greater Springfield area, Springfield, Missouri.
That's incredible.
We love it here.
What do you love
It's
about
a beautiful part of the country. It's a beautiful part of the country.
Tell us what's great about it. You know, I mean, I'm here in Missouri too. I grew up here.
Okay.
And left when I was 18. I was never coming back. But I've been back for quite a spell, and I have to say, I kind of like it. It's kind of grown on me. Mm-hmm. But you came by choice. Mm-hmm. So tell me a little more about what's delightful about greater Springfield area?
Well, when I was raising my children, they're both in their 20s now, but we moved to a small town outside of just south of Springfield, and the school was small. Everybody knew everybody. Everybody had an eye on their children. And so it was really nice. The kids could go out and ride their bike and come home at dark. In New Mexico, in Albuquerque, it just wasn't that type of city. So it was really good for the kids. But we've got 4 lakes all within an hour. We've got 3 rivers surrounding us. We're big water people, kayaking, swimming, fishing, boating. And I love having trees for the kids to climb on. It's just a really pretty area around here.
It is pretty.
We're close to Kansas City. We're close to, Tulsa, St. Louis. We're close to all of that, but kind of out in the country.
Yeah. Kind of a best kept secret.
It really is. A lot of people are actually moving in here.
Are they?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people from bigger cities are moving in.
What's it like practicing acupuncture down in the holler?
Well, when I practiced, my first decade, I practiced in New Mexico. And in New Mexico, there's hundreds of acupuncturists, and everybody has an acupuncturist. Even your doctors refer people to acupuncturists if it's appropriate. So when I moved here, I realized it's such a small population of acupuncturists, and the community was not really open to it back in 2010 when I moved here. So the first at least 6 years, I was doing a lot of lectures, a lot of talks, a lot of community outreach, trying to educate people about the science behind acupuncture and the history of studying it hundreds and thousands of years. Now with the internet, TikTok, Instagram, Google, the area is a lot more accepting of Chinese medicine.
It's pretty wild, isn't it? That even in southern Missouri, acupuncture would be a thing that probably everyone has heard about it at this point. And is your practice busy?
Very busy. Yeah, we are very busy. In fact, our books are currently closed because I'm a one-man show in my private practice.
It's a nice place to be, huh?
Yeah, I think I'm 26 years in. And I think, as anybody practicing this, sometimes it takes 10 years to know what you're doing. And then 10 more years to have that clientele build up. So
it takes time, for sure. And then there's hitting that part of the practice where you kind of have some glide to it. It's like an airplane that reaches cruising altitude.
And not being afraid the bottom's going to fall out.
And trusting that when there's a downturn in business, it means you can go do a couple of extra float trips.
True, yeah.
Because it's going to come back like bonkers in the next week or two after that.
It's the yin and the yang of it all.
Oh, it is the yin and the yang. My goodness. So you're down there in southern Missouri, and one of the things I want to talk to you about, we ran into each other just a week or two back at a Missouri Acupuncture Association dinner. We're talking about ticks, tick-borne disease, and something that's kind of a new-ish, I'm going to say, tick vector illness. And I'm not sure that people all over the country know about this or not, but we sure do know about it here in Missouri, which is a thing called alpha-gal.
Well, alpha-gal is not new. It's been around for a long time. It's just finally been diagnosed. There is now currently testing, and doctors are more likely to test for it now.
So what kind of test shows that?
So typically, and this is changing, it's becoming more common, but typically people go through a long term of allergic reactions, skin problems, and then a lot of severe digestive problems. And so when a provider finally tests for the allergen, the IgE number, and it comes back positive or high or low on the scale, then people are diagnosed with the allergy.
Okay. So it's a blood test.
Yes.
All right. The symptoms, like the main problem, as I understand it, I've only seen a few cases of this. It sounds like you treat it you have treated it quite a bit more down your way.
Yeah.
It's evidently a kind of allergy to meat. That if you're an omnivorous person, all of a sudden you can't eat hot dogs and hamburgers anymore.
It's not just the consumption of meat, it's any mammal product. So we
So that
think of
includes milk.
dairy, milk, and it's not just cow, it's pig, lamb, so pork and lamb, any mammal products. And it's not just the consumption, oral consumption, but it can be in our products like toilet paper, paper towel, water filters, medications with gel or milk, and makeup, lotions, gum. There's hundreds of things that we don't even realize, mammal products, bone char, things that have bone char in them. So even wool, people who wear a lot of wool or lanolin have allergic reactions.
Okay. What's going on here?
It's an awakening for sure.
Yeah. How did you get involved in treating this?
Back in 2018, I had a patient come in who told me he had alpha-gal. I had never heard of it before. We did an in-depth consultation, and he described his symptoms. And he said that he had been tested for alpha-gal. I didn't even know what it was. So, of course, I researched on the Western explanation about alpha-gal and kind of wrapped my head around it. And then I treated with the Chinese diagnosis and just kind of was blind about it. But as we know, we just kind of go with the Chinese diagnosis in order to understand what's happening in the patient.
It's interesting how the Chinese patterns give us like a compass and a sextant to navigate with. Mm-hmm. We may not know the terrain. We may not know the Western side of it. Sometimes the Western side doesn't know the Western side.
True.
And sometimes we're not sure where to begin if we're thinking in those Western terms. But thinking in Chinese medicine terms, there's usually a place to begin.
Right. The etiology is the Chinese way that you can take any Western illness like fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, MTHFR, cancer, alpha-gal. As long as you know your Chinese etiology, it's all the same from Chinese. It's a new Western.
So what were you seeing from a Chinese medicine point of view?
In this particular patient, and it's different, there's about three different categories for a lot of people, but in this particular first patient number 1 was digestive issues. So stomach pain, stomach cramps, rebellious stomach chi, food stagnation, loose stool, diarrhea, burning stool, urgent. Basically in Chinese medicine, a lot of damp heat in the lower jiao, stagnation in the middle jiao, a lot very hot, damp patterns.
Mm. And what did you find with treatment that was helpful?
So at the time, I treated the spleen, stomach, intestinal damp heat, and I did some of after learning that it was an allergen, not just a disease, I used a lot of the allergy points, the immune inflammatory, the quote-unquote inflammatory points. I used the histamine points in the ear, the allergy points, and then things like stomach 36. Sometimes it would be, well, in the future, we can talk about the other symptoms in other people, but stomach 36, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm. Do you tend to use the ear a lot with this?
I do. A lot of people, there's a whole genre out there, people who are doing an ear technique, but in clinic anyway, I utilize as many things that we can do, including the body and the ear combined.
Mm-hmm. I remember talking with you at that meeting, that dinner that we had, and it sounds like this is being treated kind of as how do I phrase it? I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this without sounding like a jerk, but I'll just sound like a jerk. Ways of treating it without sounding like a TikTok doctor. Mm-hmm. It sounds like there's a lot of protocol and come on out there with different kinds of practitioners offering up a cure through a few needles in the ear.
Mm. I think there is a lot of unethical practices out there, but it is a new disease. It is a new illness. So it's kind of like the Wild West with alpha-gal. But a lot of people are saying that there is a cure for alpha-gal. Currently, to this date, there is no cure for alpha-gal. but there is the ability to reduce the allergen in your body. And what we know to date is that if you can live a clean life without mammal products and increase your immune system and kind of process everything out of your body, the science behind it is saying between anywhere from 2 to 3 years, then the allergen can process, the protein can leave your body. But there are people out there that are saying if they do an ear protocol 2, 3, 4 times, then they're going to be cured. And then they encourage them to go out and live a life back with mammal products. So it's pretty dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Let's break this down just a little bit. So I know with acupuncture, sometimes people can feel better pretty quick with certain things. And from your perspective in working with this and thinking of it as an acupuncturist as well, what kind of results could people realistically expect in, I don't know, 3 to 5 treatments? And like, how far does that get them down the road?
Well, first of all, from my clinical experience, I want to let you know there's 3 symptoms. It's not just a digestive issue. You can have a fume response, which means if there is mammal products in the air and somebody breathes or it touches their skin, they can have a fume response, and then it can cause an anaphylactic reaction, closing up the throat.
Anaphylactic reaction. Fume response.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, that's dangerous.
So like, let's say you're cooking bacon or cooking meat and it's in the air, or you're at a restaurant and it's in the air, people can have an allergic reaction that can be pretty severe. And then there's also the skin issues. So a lot of people can get itchy skin, dry skin, rashes that are very uncomfortable to have. And then there's the digestive. And then some people can go on to have brain fog, body aches and pains, fatigue. So there is a whole umbrella of alpha-gal symptoms. Sorry.
No, go ahead, continue.
In my experience, what I tell people is it's 2-part. It's reducing the allergen in your body, and then it's correcting the damage that the alpha-gal has caused.
Mm-hmm.
So we're trying to help strengthen the wei qi and maybe clear wind heat, if that might be the patient's symptomology. And then if it's gone into, say, pain and fatigue, then moving qi and blood, nourishing qi and blood. But because the alpha-gal typically has been going on for months, if not years, in a patient, there's been a lot of damage. So typically I tell people it's a combination of body acupuncture, ear acupuncture, herbs, and their part lifestyle. People have got to clean their life of mammal products, and that can be really difficult. But I'll have people come in twice a week for full ears and body treatment for 2 or 3 weeks, and then once a week for a couple weeks, and then some follow-ups as needed. And some people will come back in a month or 2 or 3 later just for maintenance treatments, and that's pretty successful.
Is there a point where they have less reactivity?
And I say this with caution because this is what other people are saying, but I have had numerous patients who, after a series of treatments, will go on the day of a treatment and have maybe 3 ounces of steak or a couple of slices of cheese and not be reactive. And then maybe a week or 2 later, repeat and be okay. But the longer that people wait between treatments, or the more frequent their exposure to mammal products is, then it's almost like you put it back in your system and you can become reactive again.
So the acupuncture can help knock down the reactivity to it, to the point where you can have some mammal products.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're kind of skating on thin ice in a way, that it's not a cure. It will reduce the reactivity. In time, maybe they even could eat more mammal products with enough treatment and time. Mm-hmm. But it's certainly not a cure. It's more like a method that will help them maintain less reactivity.
Yeah, right. Well, so really we have such a close relationship to food that when people are having to change their eating habits completely, there's a lot of anger and grief and confusion. And so there's a lot of denial of people just like, well, I'm going to go on about my way and then they get sick. And then it's just a reoccurring emotional situation for a lot of people.
This episode is brought to you by Jane, a practice management software and EMR designed to help practitioners run their business without running around. Managing a practice can mean juggling more tools than you ever planned to. One for booking, one for documentation, another for billing. Each solves a small part of the puzzle, but because they don't work together, the manual admin still adds up. Jane helps practitioners connect their core tools all in one place. Payments are taken and recorded directly into Jane. Jane Websites helps new patients find your clinic online, and if something needs attention, Jane's support team is available by phone, email, or chat with an understanding of how your entire system works together. For added peace of mind, Jane includes privacy and security features like two-step verification, role-based access levels, and HIPAA and PPDA compliance, so you can feel confident your practice and patients' data are protected. To learn more about how Jane can support you, your patients, and your business, head to jane.app/demo. And if you're ready to get started, you can use the code CHIOLOGICAL for a 1-month grace period on your new Jane account. Yeah, I try to imagine life without a ribeye steak, and I would not be a happy camper.
Yeah.
Seriously.
When I always talk to my patients about going down the alpha-gal rabbit hole, because when you realize how many things mammal products are in our life, it's pretty insane to think about. Everything in our life really has some form of, whether it's the blood, whether it's the hair, whether it's the bone char or the manure or the fat, or even the animal skin is in so many things. It's shocking.
What, from a Western point of view, do we understand what's going on that some kind of mammal cells, and what even makes a cell a mammal cell?
It's actually the sugar molecule, the sugar protein from a tick's saliva. So what they've said is that a tick can bite a mammal and then bite a human, and that transfers that protein into the body.
So it's something about the tick's saliva and having bitten other mammals, basically.
Right. And
That's
it's the sugar protein that carries the illness, the
and
allergy.
then how does that multiply in the body? How does the body become sensitive to that? Do we know?
It creates a map, so to speak, of this protein illness in the body, and it multiplies. And so every time that you expose yourself to mammal products, it's like the immune system attacking it.
Uh-huh. So could we call this an autoimmune illness in a way?
Definitely, yeah. The immune system is creating these antibodies against the alpha-gal, and then the antibodies stay in the body, and then the body's primed to react to the alpha-gal, the mammal protein.
Okay. And it can react in the skin. Is it primarily in the gut that most of the damage is done? Good. I mean, I've heard of people, the whole thing about you can't eat meat. Mm-hmm. But it sounds like throughout the body, there can be problems.
So if we look at personal hygiene products like toilet paper, diapers, feminine products, they all have cow bone char in them. So I do have patients who are reactive to that, and then they get a skin rash, a hot, itchy skin rash on areas that have been exposed to that. So again, it's more of like a wind heat type symptom.
Cow bone char.
Cow bone char.
What the hell is cow bone char, and why do they use it? Cow bone char, yes, of course I know what that is. I've got no idea what that is.
Yeah. A lot of things like water filters, bleaching agents are used from the bone char.
So my coffee filter.
Yes, your
that I make my coffee with in the morning probably has cow bone char in it.
Most likely.
If I had alpha-gal, I wouldn't be able to make my nice pour-over coffee.
So from the fat, we have chewing gum, candles, detergents and fabric softeners, deodorants, perfumes, cosmetics, lotions. all the way to like things like fertilizer, antifreeze, rubber textiles.
Is this, man, again, I remember seeing one case for sure a few years ago here in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked to you about this. You're here in Missouri. Is this spread throughout the country? Is it regionalized? Is there like an epicenter here?
Mm-hmm. So it's interesting. And, we can have conspiracy theories all we want, but the truth is ticks are growing in their area that they're in. So the actual tick that is causing the alpha-gal is called the Lone Star tick.
It's from Texas. Ah,
I don't know how much but so what's happening is the expanding areas, because ticks like warmer, humid climates.
That's Missouri.
That's Missouri. That's our neighbors. There's Arkansas.
That's Arkansas.
Kentucky, Tennessee,
Yeah,
Illinois,
Southern Illinois.
Kansas. Yep. But with the weather patterns changing, we're not having as many cold winters with freezes that are killing the ticks. And so the ticks are spreading in their habitat. And so there are cases of it in Korea. There are cases of it in Canada, Mexico. So there are cases in other places, but I think most other places don't know to test for it.
Mm-hmm. So for folks who may have people coming in with some digestive issues, and look, I remember the patients that I had, it took us a while to figure out that it was eating meat that caused her digestive issues. I don't think she had skin issues. Mm-hmm. I should go back and look at that chart. I don't think she had skin issues. I know she had digestive issues. Mm-hmm. And that was the thing that brought her in.
Maybe a food journal.
I got these digestive things. And then eventually she figured out, it's like, oh, it seems like it's after I have a burger or something like that. Mm-hmm. And we both looked at each other like, well, that's the weirdest thing. She felt weird saying it.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, well, I hear weird things here all the time. So, let's talk about that. And eventually she did figure out, maybe she wasn't as allergic as some people. Mm-hmm. Right. Because, she didn't have trouble with toilet paper or anything. But I suspect there might be people who would have this sensitivity, but if it wasn't like really full blown, they may not know.
Maybe like psoriasis, eczema type
So those
things.
are some things to look at. When you see skin issues, also think alpha-gal.
Possibly.
And
some people are more severe than others, like you just said.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor who found alpha-gal was treating cancer with patients with a medication that was a gelatin mammal product. And he isolated it and found out it was the alpha-gal. And that was, I believe, I could be off a year or two, but around 2005.
So that's been a while ago now.
Right.
How come we haven't heard much about this?
I don't know.
I know you have down where you are. You've treated it quite a bit, but it's not. We've all heard about Lyme, and there's all kinds of other diseases that they're kind of popular. But it seems this one's been a little under the radar, at least it has been for me.
Even down here, we have doctors that say, "Oh, yeah, you have a mammal product. You have a mammal allergy. You're allergic to cows. Go ahead and eat dairy, though." There's still confusion, and it's just about educating all of us.
I'm still thinking cow bone char, cosmetics.
Even the skins too. The skin. So when you think of medication, supplements, you've got gelatin. Is a mammal product, flavorings, adhesives. So like bandages, the adhesive from bandages is made from cow skin.
Yeah. How alert, like people, how do I phrase this? Can you give me kind of a scale of allergic response that you've seen in the patients you have from like you were saying, they smell bacon and they've got a problem to their skin gets fussy. Right? Or their digestion goes off. For people that do have the digestive issue, is it every time they eat meat or does it come and go?
I think there's a wide range of symptoms. So there are people that cannot even have a drop of mammal products, meat, dairy. There are other people that as they try to withdraw the mammal products in them, they still have the digestive damage from the alpha-gal.
Mm.
But for example, a case study I had was somebody was eating clean after they got diagnosed with alpha-gal, and they were eating chicken and fish, but they were still getting sick. And they found out that their cooking surfaces, grills and cooking potware, still had the mammal products. So even grills don't burn off the mammal protein. And so even though they were eating chicken and fish, they were still getting sick because the heat didn't even kill it. So that person, even though they were eating clean, they were still reactive. I've had patients who have gone into anaphylactic shock with just exposure to milk. And so a lot of doctors are giving people EpiPens.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, yeah. And there are people who deny that they're sick and they'll just keep going on with their life and continue to be sick all the time. They just won't give up their bacon.
Mm-hmm. So how bad are the digestive issues when they have them? I mean, what's the range that you see?
So some people just have an upset stomach, maybe some loose stool here and there. And then we get to the more severe where I've had patients who can't even leave their house because they're just urgent stool, just even a little bit of mammal exposure. They're just stomach cramping, nausea, vomiting, just very severe, dehydrating because of it.
Mm-hmm. I can easily imagine myself in clinic getting tricked, so to speak, thinking that, well, maybe someone's just got irritable bowel, and I'm going to treat them for irritable bowel, when it might be that they've got this problem with mammal products.
Well, it can manifest like irritable bowel. You can have
That's
a lot
what
of
I'm
people.
thinking.
Yeah, liver overacting on spleen deficiency, damp heat. And that is the way I treat it, is I do treat it like the Chinese etiology and pathology. Because that is what the alpha-gal has done to people, is cause those spleen qi deficiencies, heat in the stomach, a lot of heat in the stomach, rebellious stomach qi.
Do you use herbs as well to treat this?
I do. I really enjoy using herbs. The items that I have found with treating with herbs is it has to be, in my experience, either a tea or a granule, because a lot of our herbs might have gelatin in it or lactose in it as a filler or a combined gel cap. And so I've gone to a lot of evergreen. I don't have a bulk herb pharmacy. I have a capsulated tea pills type. So I've gone to using a lot of evergreen herbs in the granule form. And so for TCM, I'll use a lot of the GI formulas. So for example, if somebody's having digestive problems, I'll use some of their herbs that clear damp heat in the lower jiao, tonify spleen and stomach. If somebody has the skin issues, usually it's a wind heat, sometimes some blood, heat in the blood, and use Dermatrol PS or Silarex for patients in the granule form again. And then if we have somebody with a lot of pain, we want to move qi and blood, nourish qi and blood. So the evergreen formula I use for that in the granule form is the Vibrant as well.
So really, and this is just true with so many things, even like I think with fertility, there's all the Western science and this and that, but when we go to help people, we're still thinking with our TCM hats on. And so hearing the way that you go about this, I'm just using my TCM diagnosis because that's what I got. And, it goes pretty far. It sounds like the trick, if there is a trick, is knowing it's not just a simple, if there's such thing as simple, it's not just a simple spleen qi deficiency. It's a spleen qi deficiency secondary to this allergen.
The way qi is, wind heat, immune response.
Yeah. Tell me more about the ear and how you bring that in and use it.
Well, so as acupuncturists, we know the ear acupuncture has been around for as long as we know, hundreds of years, thousands of years. But Dr. Paul Nogier, brought the ear acupuncture to America, I believe maybe in the 50s or 60s. And most of us know the ear map. And so learning that this is an allergy, I have gone into using the allergy points, the histamine points, the whole allergy protocol. And then if somebody has more skin issues, then I add points for that. Like if somebody has digestive issues, then I'll add the spleen and the stomach and the intestinal points for that as well. The ear is really good because you can always do the acupuncture treatment and then you can put your tax or seeds in. As long as nobody's reacted to that, you can put your seeds and tax in and they can continue treatment after they're out of the clinic as well.
Yeah, I was thinking things like seeds or tax could be really useful for this kind of thing. Mm-hmm. As long as you don't have bone char in the adhesive.
Gelatin, yeah. I have never, in the 7-8 years I've been treating alpha-gal, I've never had anybody reactive to the adhesive from the tax or seeds.
Good to know.
Yeah.
What a weird illness.
It's very odd. And again, there's a whole emotional connection that a lot of people get angry about it and denial. And it's like a grieving of a best friend.
I certainly see how that would come about. That it's not just that your digestion's not working or your skin is now, welting up or causing you problems. We all like the stuff that we like in life. And if being healthy means we don't get to enjoy the things that we enjoy, that is a huge imposition.
Well, and you have to plan ahead. You have to plan ahead. How do you pack your lunch? Where you're eating? You have to plan ahead. It's a learning process. It's a whole new world for a lot of people with alpha-gal. And children are even harder to help because they're used to being free. They're not used to thinking 10 steps ahead. So helping them
Which is why you moved to Springfield, so that your kids could go out and play and just be kids.
Roll around in the grass.
Roll around in the grass with the ticks.
Funny enough is through all this, I thought, as Chinese medicine doctors, we think preventative. And so our clinic came up with a tick repellent, a natural, safe tick repellent.
Oh,
which
seriously?
is effective. It's effective for about an hour, and then you have to reapply.
Uh-huh.
But the other alternatives are using DEET or Promethean, and those are both toxic. Yeah. So, but it helps. We were our own test dummies on that one. So,
okay, how do you be your own crash test dummy on something like that? Like, okay, we're going to put this on, and now we're going to go get some ticks.
Exactly. That's what we did. Yeah, we thought, well, if we end up with alpha-gal, we'll know it didn't work. But we created it, and then we went on probably a half dozen hiking trips in a grassy area, in a bushy area, and in a tree area, rubbed up against the bushes. And we pretty much a couple times saw 0 ticks on us. And then sometimes we would see a tick on the clothing. And, you can see if it's an alpha-gal tick, a Lone Star tick, it has a white spot on it, unless it's an immature tick. But we saw it and we were able to brush it off. But on all of these experiences, we never saw it going into our clothes and they never attached themselves to us. We did the full Ozark tick check, and out of all those half dozen times, never had a tick bite.
Uh-huh.
But we did
Ozark tick check.
Those in the Ozarks, no.
What is that?
Well, you take all your clothes off at the door and you search your body for ticks. You feel around, feeling for any bumps or ticks. And then you get in the shower, wash off, and then check again.
And then check again.
Mm-hmm.
Ozark tick check. God, now I'm a little paranoid about going down to the Black River for a float trip.
Just stay in the water.
Just stay in the water. Stay in the water where the snakes are. Well, that's cool. Do you guys sell that tick repellent?
We do. I'm not the best at sales and promotion, but we do sell a fair amount depending on what time of year. Right now is a big time that we've got a lot of people buying it as people are going outside more with spring here.
Yeah.
It's safe for kids. It's safe for pets. So
that's great. I'll put a link to it on the show notes page.
Okay, good. Yeah.
What about electroacupuncture? Do you use that at all in this treatment?
I do not. I know there is some providers that do electroacupuncture in the ear using a protocol, but I was never taught how to do that. I've never taken any classes on doing ear electroacupuncture. It's just not in my scope.
Yeah.
To me, it's not really a practice that I choose to use.
In clinic, there's no such thing as a small detail. The needle you reach for, the formula you prescribe, the moment you choose to listen just a little bit longer. Your patients place their trust in you, and you deserve to place the same trust in the tools that you use. At Blue Poppy, they hold their products to the same standard that you hold your care. Herbal formulas crafted for efficiency, needles that perform the way you expect them to, clinic essentials that arrive on time. Because when your tools are dependable, your focus stays where it belongs, on your patients. No guesswork, no compromises, just steady support behind the scenes. Blue Poppy, the choice of practitioners since 1982. I get it. Yeah, I've always been a little old-fashioned myself. I've got friends that do electro, and I've at times played around with it, but I'm kind of an old-school acupuncturist. I'm like, well, people have been doing this with just needles for a long time. I want to see if I can figure that out.
Me too. I'm kind of a purist, but I do like some electricity on those difficult back, shoulder, knee patients. But other than that, I don't really use it very often.
So for the most part then, it sounds like there are other practitioners, probably not acupuncturists, that have protocols and that sort of thing for this. But you've just worked it from the point of view of being an acupuncturist, using your TCM diagnosis and letting that guide you.
Yes. Well, and living in the Midwest, our licensure, the laws are fairly lax. Getting my education and practicing in New Mexico, like other states that have really good acupuncture laws, you get your master's in acupuncture and herbology, and then you get your doctorate and your NCCOM licensure credentials. But in Missouri, you don't need those. So there are people here, chiropractors and other people that aren't licensed, who do acupuncture. And so I think that's where I've had problems with a lot of practitioners saying that they're going to have a cure and just do random non-Chinese medical treatments. And some have had success in doing the allergy points in the ear. Those providers that I know of have been practicing less than a year, so I don't know their long-term results. And those quite often don't get advertised.
Yeah. Well, I know that chiropractors here in Missouri with 100 hours of training can get a acupuncture certificate through the chiropractic board. Mm-hmm. And then, go to work as a, air quotes, acupuncturist, or I think they do call themselves acupuncturists.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they're advertised all over. Usually the signs will say like chiropractor and acupuncturist. It's funny because people will often ask me how long I've been a chiropractor. And I'll tell them, I don't know the first thing about it. I'm an acupuncturist.
Yeah.
All right, that's just part of our marketing.
Yeah, I do find people that have experience or have enough knowledge to look for a licensed acupuncturist that's nationally and state certified. But some people will say, well, I got acupuncture from my chiropractor and it didn't work. Well, that could be because they're not educated in depth like a acupuncturist.
Well, this is one of the interesting things that I think we are seeing in our world at this point. Acupuncture can be so darn effective, and sometimes even very simple kinds of treatments can be helpful for people, right? In some ways, when I think about it, I don't know about you, but I know that when I was in acupuncture school, one of the first things that we learned to diagnose and treat was spleen qi deficiency.
Yeah.
Right?
We all know spleen qi. Yeah, as students, especially.
Did you guys start with that too? Like learn to treat spleen qi deficiency?
Overthinking, worrying, studying, ruminating.
Yeah. Alpha gal. So, the point that I want to make is sometimes fairly simple treatments can have very profound effects. And so even something like acupuncture in the people that have, maybe 100 hours of training, there's still things that they can do to help people.
Sure.
I think about like the NADA protocol with the ears, right? Like in an afternoon, you could probably teach almost anybody how to safely needle the ear.
True.
And be able to help people. So there's some extraordinary ways that our medicine can be practiced simply, but also effectively. And then there's all this talk about, well, we want to be in the integrative world. I don't know. I just got a quirky way of looking at things, Rebecca. But it seems in some ways acupuncture is getting very deeply integrated into the larger medical system. It's just not necessarily acupuncturists doing the work in the way that we would.
I think social media and the whole digital ecosystem is an AI. You can find out how to do anything, and with practice, you can do it successfully.
Yeah. But that issue that you raise, and I think this is important, is there a cure? Do you advertise there's a cure? I mean, I get it. People are suffering, and they want to feel like they're able to get better. And of course, you want to see the person that's promising they're going to fix it and make it go away.
Right. Well, to this date, there is no cure. And for the limited research over the past couple of years, what we know is if you pretty much detox your body from mammal products over the course of months to years, you could become non-reactive. So there is hope out there. There is definitely hope out there for people.
So if you were good about your diet, and if you received acupuncture on a somewhat regular basis, because it sounds like it's very useful at knocking down the heat and taking out the dampness. So if you did that regularly, but you're not looking at a handful of treatments, you're looking at sustained treatment over a period of time.
For some people, but also you have to remember, also you can't get bit by a tick again. Because if you get bit by a Lone Star tick, then you get reintroduced. But yes.
Would it be fair to say that if you have multiple tick bites, you're going to be more
stronger.
Sensitive?
Right, yep.
So maybe someone doesn't have that fume response, but they get bit by a tick again, and then that
they
could
get
happen.
Worse again.
Oh man,
it's an odd illness to have, and I think the more we do research, the more we communicate and share stories and share experiences. Obviously, we're gonna know how to take care of it and take care of people more thoroughly.
Yeah, for sure. Do you know any other acupuncturists? I mean, actual acupuncturists that are treating this?
In my area, I do.
Your area.
Yes, I know. We have 4 acupuncturists in the greater Springfield area. 4 licensed.
All y'all that might want to have a practice in a nice part of the world, Springfield.
Hey now, come, we need help, especially with alpha-gal. But I do know there are 3 other people that are licensed acupuncturists in the greater Springfield area that do treat alpha-gal.
They're treating it as well.
Yes.
Man, I'm sure it's up here in St. Louis more than I imagined it was. Again, the person I saw, this was some years ago. And now I'm wondering if there's people that have been undiagnosed and I've kind of missed it.
The testing in a lot of the doctors up there, I mean, as it spreads further out from this damp, hot areas, and I had warned a couple of my colleagues in Kansas City and St. Louis, it's coming your way. I told them a couple of years ago, like, get ready. But it has to, yes, you have the symptomology, but if you didn't know about it, how would you treat it? But it is spreading, and the testing from the regular Western doctors is more happening more often. And so that is part of it.
Do you have any idea how much that test cost? Is it covered by insurance?
I do not know. It is a test. It is covered by insurance now, but there are other clinics. Like in Springfield, we have a place called Any Lab Test Now, or Quest, and you can go as a cash pay and test for alpha-gal.
Okay. Yeah, there's a number of those on the on the internet as well these days.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you want to test and your doctor doesn't want to prescribe it, or even with insurance, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
You can go find out for yourself. It's a fantastic service.
Well, there is still conflict on the blood tests. They're testing what's called the alpha-gal IgE, and it ranges from a 0.10 all the way to a 5.0. And you can come up positive and you can come up strong. And let's say if you've consumed mammal products, it does affect your your blood work. So there is a lot of confusion on the numbers on the blood work.
Most people that I know, at least in the state of Missouri, consume animal products. So, I mean, would somebody who's vegan not show a higher number on their blood test, or do you have to be in some kind of active state of inflammation or allergic reaction?
So if you're a vegan and you have alpha-gal,
No
it
big deal.
depends on, well, it depends on how soon from the bite until the blood test, how much of the antibody is in your body still. But then you think of all the other things, like if somebody's taking supplements with a gel cap,
Oh,
it can still be exposed. Again, like cosmetics have it in them. So it just depends on your total exposure.
I'm just thinking for myself about certain digestive cases that I've got and wondering if this might be a factor now.
I think food journaling is really helpful for people to journal what they've eaten and their exposure, and then look at their response, their body's response to it.
It's helpful, but people hate doing it.
They do.
I mean,
But when you're sick enough, like when these people aren't able to leave their house to go to work,
Yeah.
I'm on some chat groups, and people are trying to get, they're not able to go to work, so they're trying to get unemployment because this is keeping them in the bathroom all day, and then they're not eating, and then they're becoming depleted. So when you're that sick, you will food journal.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. The people I'm thinking about are not, they're not.
And, sometimes the skin issue, people may not think the skin issue is so connected to their consumption of food. So that sometimes doesn't become a measured journaling for people.
Yeah. Wow. Such a weird thing.
One of my questions is, can you pass it on to your unborn child, the
Oh my
antibodies?
goodness.
That's not an answer I have, but it's always been in the back of my mind.
So it comes to the saliva of the tick, but it goes into your blood. So it would be in the blood of a person, not in their saliva. Or would it be in
Well,
their saliva?
I have had patients that have sworn that whether swapping body fluids from their partner who's had mammal products
I know
and
now.
they've had a reaction, intimacy.
Uh-huh. I was
If
just wondering about that.
Yeah, I've had some patients who said that they've had a reaction from intimacy if
You've
their
seen
partner,
you've seen a lot of patients with this.
hundreds.
Hundreds. It's not that popular up here in St. Louis yet, I don't think. Where
I
would you
just
say
don't
the
think they're
hot spots
testing
are
for
for
it.
this, besides beautiful Springfield?
Arkansas, Kansas, Illinois, North Carolina,
Probably South Carolina too.
South Carolina, North Carolina. Yeah.
Yeah. Hundreds. Okay. So, just as a way of kind of recapping for our listeners, what are the basic things that should make you think, oh, maybe this person needs an alpha-gal test? What are the main things that you'd be seeing in your clinic that would make you want to refer them to get more information and look into seeing if they might have this issue?
Prolonged digestive issues that are pretty severe that have been going on for a long time. Also, people with skin problems, rashes that are just completely itchy and uncomfortable and painful. People who have that fume anaphylactic reaction. But it's more of that long-term digestive issue that's usually the red flag for a lot of people.
Well, I'm glad I ran into you at that dinner because I think this is a really interesting topic.
It's one that we need to talk about a lot more.
Yeah, because as with so many of these tick-borne illnesses, they start in one place, but they travel.
Yeah.
And you've got plenty of it there. And I suspect as time goes on, we're going to see much more of it in other places as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your time today. And also, shout out to the state of Missouri, all y'all out there, if you want to build a really nice practice, cost of living here is fantastic.
Absolutely.
Your kids can play outside and be kids.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, we might even have fewer acupuncturists in the state than you currently have in your own zip code.
Very true.
So it's a great place to live and practice, actually.
Absolutely. I love another acupuncturist in my office to help with the alpha-gal.
Yeah. You know, I've heard other people, I've got friends here in the St. Louis area who have clinics, and they, hire acupuncturists. And, they're always looking for someone. So it's a great place to build a practice. And it's so different than when we began. I got here myself in like 2010, I think it was. I mean, you can build a practice so quickly because there's such a dramatic need for people that are licensed acupuncturists, for people who actually practice Chinese medicine. It's just a screaming need.
I mean, we are actually, unfortunately, our books are closed right now because I can't keep up with the new patients right now. So we're booked out into December. So
That's
which
a
is
tough
great.
problem.
Well, as acupuncturists, you want to help everybody.
It's a tough problem. I remember when my books got really full, and I thought, oh, this is great. Look how busy I am. I've got a long waiting list. And then I realized, no, actually, this is a problem. And the reason it's a problem is I don't want these people to wait for months to get some help. I want them to get some help next week.
And you want to have openings for them to do follow-up treatments.
And you need openings for people to have follow-up treatments. Yeah, so it's...
Yeah. And, we have an alternative medicine where we want to take care of everybody. And when somebody's actually wanting to try acupuncture and herbs, you want to jump on that before they lose interest and go to their doctor and get blood pressure meds unless they need it.
I know. All right. Well, keep up the good work.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. The first time I had a patient with alpha-gal, I had no idea what I was treating. And my patient, she had no idea what she had. I think the treatments were working well enough that she kept coming back, but not enough to make the problems disappear with the constant onslaught of her eating animal products. Over time, and yes, thanks to the internet, she's the one who began to put it together that this was a new tick-borne illness, and sure enough, when she avoided meat, things got a lot better. Alpha-gal doesn't fit in the same frame as IBS, Crohn's, lactose intolerance, or gluten sensitivity, but because it rhymes with those, it's easy to overlook, especially in people who don't have the full-blown sensitivities that Rebecca talks about. Because I'm a little north of where she lives, I suspect I'm not seeing as much of this, but I'm certainly more on the lookout at this point. And a big eye-opener for me is the way that mammal byproducts can show up in everything from cosmetics to crayons, chewing gum to candles, and Band-Aids to water filters. While we may not run into the more extreme presentations every day, for those patients with very odd patterns of sensitivity, it's worth keeping this Western diagnosis in your back pocket. And then using your Chinese medicine differential diagnosis to help you figure out how to treat the person who's sitting in front of you.